Don't you shush me. Oh, hey, welcome to the Southern Fried Podcast. We back for part two with our interview with Miss Heather Rivera. Now, is it Rivera or is it Rivera?
You
Over
said it
in
correctly. It is Rivera.
Rivera. Now, see, uh, it should be Nevada. I'm sorry,
It is.
Nevada.
Yeah, it
Nevada.
is Nevada. You
Yeah,
said it
you should. We'll get this right before long, Rob. I don't know.
I'm not
Tomato,
really,
tomato. I
I
don't
don't
know.
have that in my plans. Load up in the car anytime soon, go to Nevada, Nevada. But if it
Nevada.
ever comes up, I'll say it the right way, y'all.
Okay.
When I get
Okay.
out there, all you Nevadians, I'll say Nevada.
Yeah, if the Southern Fried Podcast team ever makes it to Nevada, we'll make sure we do it right because
And
we
we
want to
won't
fit
call it
in.
Nevada. We'll call it Nevada.
Yeah,
So
we'd
for all my
probably get.
extra friends out there, just keep in mind this is where she comes from.
I got a feeling if we,
I do.
what
They know.
out here we have like Circle K's and so what convenience store do you kind of have out there near you? Like what's it
Um,
called?
well, it's because we do live in such a rural area, so a lot of Nevada is rural, obviously. So we have a lot of truck stops because a lot of trucks come through here. So we have a lot of Loves, Pilots,
Yeah.
things like that. So I can't think. Maybe the Maverick. That's really the only one that just kind of pops in my head that we have a lot of. That's just regular gas stations.
Yeah. So
But yeah.
yeah, if me and Robert rolled into the Loves or the Pilot, I think we're going to stand out. People are going to be looking at us like we're aliens the way we talk, and well, you can't let us get
I
out
feel
of.
that way sometimes.
We, they'll be looking to call the police on us, Robert.
They're going to
Yeah.
call the police on me half the time anyway. I don't know why.
I will say just because since it is southern, like, and I don't know about you having like golden gallons and stuff like that, but I've told Frank about what some of the older generation would call things. So because once a business it gets bought by somebody, you never call it by the new name. Like Circle K, that's always going to be the golden gallon. It's
Yeah,
just the way it is.
Mhm.
And before that, it was the milk jug.
the
And
milk
so
jug.
Frank loves that. We don't even have anything like that out here, and he's always talking about the milk jug. And I'm like, that's not even out here. And we had I don't know if in southern Georgia they had it was the red food. So and they got
Red
bought out
food.
by what was it? They got bought out by somebody, and
Balo.
then it
Balo. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
Balo. So when it turned over to Balo, people still they never called it. Even to this day, I think now it's like Food City, and they still call it the Red Store,
Yeah, I was
and
fixed to say it's the red store. That's what
it's
a
the Red
lot of
Store.
the what we call old timers, the old school
Yeah.
people would call it the red store, and they still
Yes.
say that. You'll
Yes.
never convince them to call it the current name. That's never going to happen. You are oh so right. So,
Yes.
hey, we're enjoying our conversation with a Southern girl living in the desert. Part one has aired, and this is part two. We're going to further talk about life here in the South. And Heather, you were mentioning while we were off camera to the world about some of those things that you thought were important about growing up in the South. And go ahead. I think you had a couple things you wanted to share about that I think would be important to people to hear.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned in the first part, our parents did get a divorce. I was actually the youngest out of all three of us. So I was only two when this happened. So I don't really remember my parents being married in the house. So by the time I really have many memories, it was more, we didn't have a lot of money, and so it was very important to our mother to be grateful for what we had,
Yeah.
and just to as long as we have love, we have everything that we need. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a southern thing, but it was very important to our southern mama. So as mama
Yeah.
says, y'all, that mama was always be grateful for what you have. We could have less, we could not have food at all, or not be able to have lights or water. And
Yeah.
honestly, there was times we didn't, here and there. But when we were real young, or me, I should say, and growing up, I kind of got a unique growing up because, like you mentioned, um, you were kind of the dad figure of the house, even though I really fought back about that, and which I feel bad about. But anyways, you were the dad of the house, because our mom was disabled. So growing up, I grew up with your kids. So,
Yeah.
your oldest son is what, 6 years younger than me, and the youngest is 10 years younger than me. So literally, it was like little brothers. So we have tons of stories that I'm sure um, he does not want me to tell.
Ooh, no,
Growing
no,
from
Robert,
growing
no,
up.
Oh, come on. Come on. We got dirt. Come on. Let's get this dirt going. Come on.
no.
Get
That,
on.
but
Mm.
I do appreciate that upbringing, and I'm very close to both of his sons, and we do have that. Even though we're aunt and nephew, we more have a brother sister kind of connection. Even though, and I do have a younger brother as well, so it was kind of nice to have. Because, like you mentioned, you're 15 years older than me. My sister is 6 years older than me. So it was kind of nice to have some siblings that were kind of more my age or a little bit younger, and I was able to kind of, I don't want to say mentor because I don't know how much they listen to me, but just kind of, be that positive person for them here and there when I wasn't being
They,
awful as a teenager.
yeah, they probably tormented you, I mean, being the boys they were. But I will say this, Heather and both my sisters, I mean, they really were like mama bears for my kids. If they didn't like some way I was getting on to them or something, I had to deal with them too. So it was like I was outnumbered. We're our mom. We got this Irish background. I mean, it's definitely my mom's maiden name's Kelly, and she had this beautiful red hair. Heather's got the red hair. And I had the red beard when I grew my beard out. It was kind of, my dad would call me Yosemite Sam, so I
Yeah,
shaved it off because
it was
I
ugly.
couldn't stand that. And but yeah, Heather can be fiery. I mean, that's a good kind of way. I say that as a compliment, but I didn't want to cross her. I mean, she was tough to handle. So Frank, you better behave out there in Nevada, and because she can be fiery, but
Frank,
she's a
I Frank is Frank. I'm not saying Frank has saw as much as y'all have, but Frank has saw it a few times, and I've saw a little bit of fear in his eye, and yeah, so not that I'm proud of
Oh,
that, but
oh,
that
you're
is,
so
it's
sweet,
that,
though.
that fiery redhead. It is what it is. You
it
But
don't
is
you
cross
what
know,
it
me.
is.
You don't.
honey,
It's what it
you know,
is.
you can ask Dave. I used to
I
have
and
red
he
hair.
loves that about me
Yeah,
too. What is it? Salty and sweet. That's me.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just all sweaty.
Heather has a lot of, I would just say, passion for life, passion for things. I will say this. Heather is she's into matching clothes. Us some country people, we don't care. And Heather would always get on to me if the boys were not matching and their clothes didn't match. She would. I mean, you admit, right? I mean, you would make sure that the
I told her the same thing
fashionista,
that Kaylee
whatever.
did. Kaylee's a little bit better now that she's getting older, but like when she was younger,
Yeah,
yeah, your wife would put her in some stuff, and I'm like, that doesn't match. No, that doesn't match.
so
I don't know.
so we had the
I don't know where that
fashionista.
comes from, but like we have to, have to have to look nice. I don't know.
Yeah, but
I don't know where
we
that came
did.
from.
Yeah, we did. And one of the things I'll bring up as you think about that stuff and times we had, and I mean, it was like Christmas morning to get to be able to go to the store and buy things, food and stuff.
Mhm.
And I've talked to people about this, and everybody. I mean, we all grew up on beans and potatoes and cornbread and fried okra and fried squash and potato,
Oh, yeah.
all the stuff that we, yeah, I know it's the Southland loves it, but there were times that our mom would buy uh, the mackerel and we'd have the fried instead of a
Oh yeah.
salmon patty. The only time we could have the salmon is if it was on sale, and that was like a super Christmas day because we loved that. But we had that every week. I mean, that was something that we ate every week, and the potatoes and the beans and
Yeah.
the cornbread and the sweet tea and the whatever. But that's just, I mean, it's like right there on the front of our memories. I mean, you can't forget that stuff. And to go out to eat was a huge deal. You know, to be able to go to McDonald's or whoever was a big deal. So, Heather, when you come back south, what are the taste buds looking for as far as food places that you go out to eat? Tell us about that.
So I would say up close to the top is Cracker Barrel. It's not just the food; it's just the atmosphere. It's the sweet tea, and we usually all go as a family, so it's definitely
Yeah.
like a family event where we're all sitting around a big table, kind of like those Sunday dinners that I talked about, in the first part. It's just like a big, Sunday dinner with all the good food. There may be some haters of some people out here of Cracker Barrel, but that's my southern thing that I love. The other one, and not everybody will know what this is when I say it, is crystals.
Yes.
Obviously, the people in the South will know this, but I do have some friends out here that I think are going to be watching this. Crystals
Yeah.
are kind of like a White Castle. But in the South, we didn't have White Castle, so Crystals was it. And I actually
Mm.
worked at a Crystal at one time,
That's right.
actually
Yeah.
two different times. I love crystals. I got to see the whole back end of how they're made and all of that kind of thing. It was very cool. But yes, me and my husband argue about that because he is a White Castle fan. So he likes to pick at me that White Castle's better and it was first. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. It's crystals. That's it. Like I love it.
Amen,
Like
sister.
Yeah.
so
Hey,
I
preach
have
it.
crystals. I have crystals. The last time I came, I was only there for a few days. I think I had it twice while I was there.
Yeah. Sorry, Frank. You're losing on
Yeah,
this one, buddy.
you gone,
Frank,
Bubba.
yeah, and
Mm.
we're gonna have to talk to Frank because
Yes,
he's a Miami Hurricanes fan, and
I know.
we're gonna have a whole nother section about that. But it's
Yeah,
Crystal, buddy,
Yes,
Crystal,
yes.
you're
and
going
then
down on the Christmas. You lost.
He knows, and now he loves to mess with me even harder because he knows I get real passionate about it. I'm like, no, crystals. I will say that I have had White Castle since I've been out here. They are a good They are good, but to me, it's not the same. It's just like
yeah,
there's
Well,
just
the name
something
kills it.
about that greasy and just I just love it. I want it. And the funny thing was after working there two times, I hardly ever ate it when I lived there. But now that I don't live there, I want it. And
yeah,
Waffle
and
House. Waffle
Waffle
House would
House,
be the other one.
yeah,
I never really
yeah,
ate Waffle House when I lived there, but I eat it at least every other time I come back. Frank
I,
loves Waffle House. That's literally his favorite place. When he comes back home with me, he's like, we have to go to Waffle House at least once. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay. I'm like, you
I,
do realize that's not really the biggest thing in the South, but he loves it.
well,
I'm
for
noticing a pattern here.
Yeah.
Every time you come back home to South, you're looking for grease. Do y'all
Yeah.
they not have lard out there
It's not the
in
same out here.
the
I'm not saying we don't have good places to eat, and I've been um, introduced to a lot of different foods that I've never really ate before. But
Oh, let's talk about that.
yeah,
What kind of foods
no,
do you have out there that
I
you don't
will.
have here?
So
yeah.
I
Here we
will
go,
say
Robert. Nevada, Nevada.
Nevada.
What
Nevada.
what are
so.
you eating in Nevada?
So I will say the one thing, which they're not here anymore, but the one thing that I have to say, my husband like really turned me on to. We had an Indian food truck, so these were like not like Native American Indians, but like from India or Pakistan, that
You're
area.
way out west and
Um,
they couldn't even get you
so
built a real Indian food truck.
we do now. We do have Indian food like tacos and stuff. There is a couple of um, Native
No,
American areas
tacos
around here.
are tacos are Mexican and Hispanic food stuff. I'm talking about real Indians.
I don't know. There may be. I'm not familiar with that. I kind of told y'all this privately, but my city. So I live in the town called Fallon, Nevada. It is an hour east of Reno. It is like the south of the West. I live in a very rural country living town, so they do have their biscuits and gravy and things like that. It's not as good as the South. Um, I didn't realize how big the
Yeah.
seasonings were in the South until I moved away from there. So,
Mhm.
hmm, I don't want to like
They don't have
brush
lard out there.
anybody's heart, but it's just not as flavorful and seasoned as it
Yeah.
is in the South. So maybe it is the grease that I'm going after, but a lot of it is just the seasoned, flavorful foods that you find in the South. Um, depending on where you are, you do have that in certain places here, but where I live, it's just very, you know,
What about uh, coffee? Is that pretty popular still? And
oh yeah,
for you guys and out
for
there?
being frank, for sure.
Yeah.
We
That,
have a Keurig, we have a regular coffee machine, and we have one of the Nespressos that make like espresso. Like we love coffee. We
yeah.
have one really good one here in town. Um, that's a local place. It's called Telegraph. We love it. That's probably where we go when we want coffee. When we're in Reno, we do love us some Dunkin'. I know there's a lot of Starbucks lovers out there, but we're definitely more Dunkin'. We just love Dunkin' coffee. So that's probably I don't know. That's
Uh,
not really a southern thing, but we did finally get one in the town that you live in. So I was happy for that when that finally
yeah.
opened.
I got
Uh,
a southern question for you.
Okay.
Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme donuts?
Oh no, Krispy Kreme all the way. I don't even have to think about that. No, Krispy Kreme all the way.
yeah.
We finally got one here. In Reno, they're right beside it. It's kind of like Rossville, Fort Oglethorpe. It's like Sparks is right beside Reno, and
Yeah.
we finally got one in Sparks. And I made Frank take me probably within the first 2 weeks it was open. I was like, I want a Krispy Kreme glazed donut
Mhm.
right now.
I can relate to that.
So tell us about life there. I mean, things that you go do. I know you do the car shows, but what kind of places have you been to as far as like parks and stuff like that? But just give us a feel about what life is. I know you talked about the weather, a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain, but
Yeah.
what kind of things do y'all kind of do in Nevada?
So we personally, where we live right now, we are an hour and a half away from Lake Tahoe. So obviously everyone knows about Lake Tahoe. It's
Yeah,
absolutely gorgeous. It goes over into the California side. You can drive all the way around it, which me and Frank have done before, and it's absolutely gorgeous no matter where you're at around around there. And to be honest, when I'm in the Lake Tahoe area, it reminds me of home because it's mountainous and there's a lot of green and there's trees, and so when I go there it just makes me feel like home. Our state capital is Carson City. It's very just has a very historic downtown. We
yeah,
like to go walk around there. Sometimes they have huge car shows out there as well. um, uh, a lot of our life is the car show. My husband does work for the Navy, so we do also do a lot of Navy related things. We have a base right here in town, so we do go on base. As for parks, I can't think of anything here in Nevada. The one big trip that I've went on since I've lived here that's probably stuck with me the most as was we went up into northern California to the redwoods,
yeah,
and it was such an amazing experience. And I just felt very insignificant compared to these gigantic freaking trees that had been there for 200 years,
yeah.
and it was very much just, it was so beautiful. And just, it's a trip I'll never forget. And that's only like 8 hours from us. So it's not like, it's far, but it's not like super far. But there's lots of national parks within driving distance of us that we are planning on going to, hopefully within the next few years. Try to mark some of
Yeah.
those off the list. We went to Vegas and I got to see Hoover Dam, which was also very cool to see in person. It was very much an experience. It's gigantic, and just thinking of these guys making this back in what, the the 20s or 30s is when they were doing that, I think.
Mhm.
I can't really remember right off the top of my head, but it's just amazing to see that kind of things that just humans put together and built, and how big it
Yeah.
was.
Well, I gotta know when you went to Vegas. You said you'd went there. I just want to know if you saw the Elvis impersonator while you were there.
I didn't, and I just want to say that me and Frank are really sad that we just didn't elope and just go and get married by an Elvis.
Oh,
I said if we ever, I thought, well, we make jokes that if we ever renew our vows, we have to get married by Elvis in Vegas.
oh, that'd be awesome. Absolutely awesome. Hey,
We
what is,
definitely want video of that. I mean,
Yeah, I know, right?
yes, we might have to come out there and film that on location. Um, and I have, now look, we pick on people a lot and we joke and cut up. What are the things that endear you? Because you're there, we don't know much about it. What endears you to the people of Nevada?
bad.
I would say where I live. So we're the battle-born state. It's very, you think of this history of this state. It was very much like pioneers, people coming from very far east, and just that roughness, that resilience kind of thing. And
Yeah.
of just the travels that they had to make. We don't live very far from Donner Summits.
Yeah.
So obviously we all know about what happened with that. But it's just
Oh,
very, the ancestry here that was very, just we're going to do this no matter what. And
yeah.
a lot of that reminds me of people in the South. Like we would just, no matter what, we're going to do this. We're going to get through this, and a lot of that, and also the just like I don't know how to say this other than just live and let be. Like
Yeah.
hey, we're all here. This state, especially in the last few years, there's lots of transplants, including myself, from California and other states. So life is definitely changing with that California kind of influence, if you so to speak. Um, but um, but just the people that have lived here their whole lives, it's just that resilience. And we have a farm here that it's been in the same family for over 100 years,
Wow.
and they're still
Wow.
farming that land. So it's just a very that resilience, and I can really get behind, and I feel like it's a very southern trait to me, anyways, just because of how I grew up and the things that I went
Yeah.
through,
Yeah.
and just that you know we have liquor in our grocery store, so it's definitely a different world here. That was probably one of the biggest things that was just like a complete shock to me when I got here, was the gambling and the
Yeah. I was fixing
and
to
the
say.
liquor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have one kind of funny story about that. Not that we want to talk about liquor, but we
Go
were
ahead.
just going. We were just. It was my first time. I'd only been here a few days. Back home, it's a very dry. I know now I can see, I get news from there. It's not as much as it was when I was a kid, but we had a lot of dry counties. You couldn't buy it just anywhere. And we went to Walmart for the first time, because that's pretty much all we have in our town, and to get groceries. And I just stopped, and he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Y'all got liquor at the Walmart?" And he's like, he just died. Like people were turning around looking at us. Like, and he still to this day, I've been here for like, I think 6 or 7 years. He still tells that story to everybody, that he just thinks that's the funniest thing in the world. Cause I just had such a strong Southern twang from just
Oh,
moving.
I
And I
love
was
it.
just like, yeah, I was like, but it was shocking. It was like, I'm just like, never in my life have I walked into a Walmart and saw that. I mean, now it's like whatever, but just the differences. That's the big difference of life here. It's just like okay, whatever, but that's probably, yeah, some of the bigger things.
All right. Let's talk about some cool things. We're going to ask you a few questions, and you just give us whatever you say. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I know the first ones, but I still want to hear you say it because you're in Nevada. Favorite college football team?
Oh, the Georgia Bulldogs. I have it.
Yeah.
I even have it on my blazer outside. I have Georgia Bulldogs. I rep every day with my
Yes.
tag,
Yes. Yes. Thank you. I knew that. That was
going
an easy
around
one.
wearing my Georgia hats and my Georgia
Yeah.
shirts and get all the looks, whatever. I don't care. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Does Nevada have a football team, college team?
Um, yeah, but we're not that good. We're not
Maybe
that
one
good.
day.
What are they
Maybe one day.
called?
It's the Wolf Pack is for Reno, and then they have I don't know what the Vegas one is. There's a team in Vegas too, but I don't know who they are. I can right offhand.
Do they
Um,
call one Nevada and the other one Nevada? Like the Nevada Wolfpack and
I
The
will.
Nevada.
I will
Nevada.
say, and it's probably blasphemy, but out of the West Coast top teams, I will say that I have become an Oregon Duck fan.
Oh.
Oh,
But
Never will it be over Georgia.
oh.
Georgia will always be my number one team. Period. That will never change. Even if they lost every game, I would still be a Georgia Bulldog fan. But that's probably if I had to pick a West Coast team, that would probably be
Oh.
my West Coast team.
Oregon? That's just quackers.
I know, right? Right.
Well, they do have a former Georgia coach, so we'll take a half Southern point away from you for that, just
Okay.
a
All
half,
right.
not a full
All right.
point.
I'll take
Okay,
that. I'll take that.
question 2, and if Rob's got some, he can jump in. Favorite music?
Um, I don't. That's hard because I like all kinds of music. I will say that as I'm getting older, I'm starting to listen to some country. That's not something I've listened to in a long time. More, I guess, pop. I like feel good, just get me moving kind of things. We listen to a lot of 50s, 60s, 70s,
Yeah,
80s music. So I definitely listen to. I am an 80s baby, so I definitely listen to a lot of 80s music. That's actually playing in the background. You just can't hear it. I've got some playing right now.
yeah. Heather, I will tell one story, and people can
Oh,
say
here
what they
comes
want.
dessert.
I don't care, but no,
I can
no.
hear.
I
I'm
I
just
took
playing.
I took my sisters to a concert once in
Mhm.
Atlanta, and who did we see?
My very first concert ever. I was like 7 or 8 years old, and it was Def Leppard.
Yeah,
I will never forget it to this
Uh,
day. And everybody's shocked. They're like, "You were like 8?" And I was like, "Yes." And I was in a denim skirt and a Def Leppard shirt. I'll never forget it. It was the best concert ever.
and the girls, they
I
just
still
sung their
love
little
Def
hearts
Leppard.
out. Yeah,
I did. I still love Def Leppard.
cool, cool. I definitely think of you being listening to 80s music, but I know you have a lot of interest. Hey, and we should say our mom loved music. Elvis was her
Yeah.
favorite singer.
oh,
She had a lot of groups that, and she loved our mom. We watched what was the Soul Train. I mean, we watched a lot of
Yep. Mhm.
Motown and stuff because of our mom. She loved music, from country to pop to light rock, you might say, and all
Yeah.
things in between. I mean, our
I
mom
def-
definitely
yeah.
introduced us to music and a love of music.
mm,
Right, and I definitely feel that. I definitely feel like she influenced my musical taste. She was born in the 40s. We actually did a 40s wedding, and one of the songs that we played was a Glenn Miller song. And most people my age don't know who Glenn Miller is, but I grew up listening to that. I grew up listening to that and the doo wop
Yeah.
and the 50s music and the 60s and like you said, 70s and the disco and all of that stuff. Like she loved everything. Like she was just
Uh,
never,
yeah.
yeah.
All right. I got to know, though, Heather, because I don't remember. I think I know before we leave music, because you were in that time frame of the boy bands. Which
Mhm.
one was it? Which boy band was your gig? I don't remember if you had the posters or not, but there had to be somebody. Who was
Well,
it?
since I grew up in the 80s, in the late 80s, early 90s, it was New Kids on the Block. So
New
that was
Kids on the Block.
definitely what I grew up with. I would say as I got older in the current boy bands, it was probably more in sync. I'm more,
Yeah.
everybody likes the Backstreet Boys. So I was more, I got to go with I don't know, I'm a rebel, I guess. I got to go with what everybody,
I
not,
think I
I don't
think
like to follow the crowd.
I think Robert was into New Kids on the Block, right, Robert? That was
no, no. I don't even like
I
the old
do.
kids on the farm.
I do love me some Tues. They're still touring to this day. I would love to go see
Yeah.
Yeah,
them.
now
Just
they're the old men at the
something I
nursing
never
home.
got to do.
Now they're the old
Oh.
folks at the nursing home.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
my
yeah.
walker.
A lot
You gonna
of
jam tonight?
a lot of those from like back in the 80s are still touring, and I was
Yeah.
seeing videos of George Strait still out there. I think he's in his 70s or close to 70, I think. So
I know I'm
Well,
yeah.
feeling old.
Phil Collins just retired from retiring like in the last
Mhm.
year or two, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
me some Phil Collins now.
I
That was
like Phil
that
Collins.
man was talent.
Yes.
You're out now.
Yes.
Still is. Phil
All right,
Collins.
Heather. Favorite movie, if you had to pick one or two.
Of all time?
Yeah. Well,
When
we'll
I
say
think of
as a
I know.
kid or maybe as an adult.
Okay, as a kid, it was probably The Money Pit with Tom Hanks because my mother loved that
She
movie,
was a huge
um,
fan of that
and
movie.
that was just that's so hilarious. We had many laughs over that, and I would say, as I grew up, the movie The Mummy with Brendan Fraser has become one of my favorite movies, and I watch it. I've probably watched it like 500 times. I love that movie. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the adventure, the desert. Who knows? Maybe I was destined to always live in the desert, but
Do
Well,
you get
that's
didn't he like play a redneck in that movie almost? If you had to call a redneck over in Egypt, that would be it, would it not?
he was in the movie. It's more like you're the American. So back in them days, I guess they thought we all were rednecks and hillbillies,
yeah.
and to the British because it was like British and Egyptians is who was in the movie. So
Well,
Do,
we're
do
yeah.
you
getting
do you get Frank to go to chick movies? Like does he do you have you got the romantic movies as have you been able to get him to go to something like that? Or is it all action?
So with Frank, it is attention span, so it definitely has to be action filled. He does not like girl movies at all. It's really hard for me to get him to watch stuff.
oh my
Luckily,
gosh. Can
before
you get
him,
him
I
to
was
watch
with
the
somebody
notebook?
that was
Can you get
no,
him to watch the
we've
notebook?
never watched the Notebook. To be
But
honest, that
you
movie's a
see
little
the end
sad.
on
I
it.
can't watch it anymore. To be
I ain't never
honest, it's
watched
just
it.
a little too sad. But just because of our experiences and things that we went through, I can't. But
Yeah.
no, it's more to be honest. At our house, it's mostly on car shows. Frank has a '70s Chevelle, so he is definitely classic cars and a lover of cars. So we watch a lot of car build shows and auctions.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Rob.
There was a movie way back when had Dolly Parton. Oh, I can't even say her name now. Forrest Gump's mama, uh,
Sally Fields.
Sally Fields, Olivia Dukakis.
Oh,
In terms of
uh,
endearment, was that it?
no, oh, it's right there on the tip of my tongue, and I know because we all talk about
It's
it.
great.
Had Julia Roberts in it.
Yes,
Uh, I cannot think of. I'm good. It's gonna bug me.
Skerritt. Tom Skerritt was in it.
I have to
Uh,
like Google it really quick.
it wasn't in terms of endearment, was it?
No, it was us. Oh, it's right there. I know.
It was a chick flick, but it was one
Sweet
of the most
Magnolia. Is that it? No,
still
that's it.
magnolias. Still
Still
magnolias.
Magnolia. That's it.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I know it's like
It
an
was
S
a
and an
chick
M in
flick.
the.
It was absolutely a chick flick.
Yes. Yes.
But there is a man out there that didn't just absolutely love it. Because, but Tom Skerritt was out there and he's trying to scare the birds off. And at first he's throwing firecrackers up the trees and he's shooting and everything. And the whole, oh man, that whole movie was just absolutely amazing. You need to watch that. And then
I love
explain to him that that was a chick flick and he'll have
it.
enjoyed it.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. I can get him to do a few. He does go shopping with me, and so I'll pick my battles. If it's not an extra girly movie, I'm okay with that. He does other things like go to craft stores and stuff
Yeah.
like that with me and vendor fairs.
Well, and that would lead us into our next question, a perfect segue. What's your hobbies? What is a hobby for you out there?
Um, I do love to craft. Just I'm not very good at it. I like to paint. I'm not very good at that either. So seasonal things. Me and my friends will get together and do little seasonal projects and I'm hoping to get back into that. Since I started my new job, it's been a little hard to find time to do that. Um,
Yeah.
but um, but yeah, and I love to take pictures. So I don't do it as much as I used to, but I love all pictures, whether it be beautiful sunsets or beautiful, sunrises or just memories, family
You
get-togethers.
remind me, yeah, because it just reminded me. I mean, you're always taking pictures at holiday events, and
Hmm.
it's like it. Robert, she gets a little forceful about it. I mean, it's like you don't have a choice. I mean, and you got to have not only the family picture, but you got to have each one, all the kids together, the
Yeah,
different
So,
groups, all the sisters and the brother together. She's the
yeah.
one that makes sure that happens. She's that one in our family.
But but we have a lot of pictures in our family because I chose to take those pictures. So
That's true.
after you have loss like we have had in our families, and I know other families have had it too,
Yeah.
but those pictures mean the world. And so yeah, I'll own that I'm very forceful with the pictures, and I've tried to calm it down over the years, but I just love it. And now that I live so far away, it's my way to, have you around my house, and
Yeah.
where every day I'm able to see my family, even if I can't see them in person.
Oh, and my grandchildren, she's like the cool aunt, when she comes into town, it's like the posse. I mean, they're running around everywhere. I mean, they're coming and going. I can't keep up with them, They're hitting the mall, they're hitting all,
Yeah.
food places. They come in, Heather's, got them matching jeans or something. I mean, it's like Christmas in whatever month she comes in.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure Frank goes, God, you spent that much, Heather, but it's hard. I know she's great with her her
I
grandkids.
definitely before the last trip saved a little money because I knew what was coming. They're getting a little older now, so they're a
Yeah.
lot more expensive than what they used to be. And now we're into makeup and hair stuff, and they use more skincare than I do. And I'm like, y'all are kids. Like, what is going on? I'm at the age where I should be using all this stuff, and they're teaching me stuff like, "Hey, I saw this, and look at what all this does." And I'm like, "How do you know all that?
okay,
you're
good Heather.
you're like 13."
I'm gonna throw a little one at you here.
Okay.
Now, me and David, we've always and we've been trying to make it clear on this podcast since we've started up. The Southern's not just about living in the South. A lot of it is a state of mind.
Hmm.
All right. Now, being well aware that Nevada is not exactly south of the Mason-Dixon line, and it's more out west, and there's a lot of difference, a lot of territory between, so say here and there. Okay.
Hmm.
Do they in Nevada qualify in your mind as Southern?
Does it qualify as Southern? Is that what I understood? Sorry, it cut
Yeah.
out.
Do the
Yeah.
people in Nevada qualify as Southern people?
Same
Certain
values, same.
parts, certain
Yeah.
parts. Where
Yeah.
I live, I do live in a small town. So it is very much small town life, like what was in the South. And they take care, your animals are very important and your family's important. And, they raise their kids and want them to have good values. And so I definitely feel like there is it's Southernish
Okay,
Yeah.
to be in
that's
the
great.
desert.
I that does my heart good because even though there's a lot of difference in area, from here to right where you're at, there's a lot of territory that's covered there, and the fact that a lot of the same core values are the same, whereas I hate to even say it, but it seems like as you go further north, uh, the values don't hold as much, or
Right.
further west than Nevada. The values doesn't quite as seem to hold as much. But the
Well,
fact that
yeah, it's definitely different when the big cities, like we live an hour away from
Yeah.
Reno. Vegas is 6 hours away. Obviously, life is much different in those two cities than it is here in my county or my city. And you can definitely tell the differences when you get there. I'm not saying people are rude, but they're a little bit more short and just, not really thinking about other people. And it's not horrible. I would say it's obviously worse in Vegas than it is up here. But here specifically where I live, yes, it does have a southern feel, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the people in Fallon are
Yes.
Southern. Good.
I feel
We
like
know
that.
they're
Yeah.
Southern.
Yeah.
That's
All right,
amazing.
Heather. TV show. What's your TV show you put out there? But currently, or something you just like from your life? What would you say?
She liked Miami Vice, didn't she?
I don't.
I
Mama
did like
did.
Mama. Well, a lot of stuff you got to think in the 80s. If Mama liked it, then we liked it because we had to watch it. You only had one TV.
Yeah,
It's not like these days where you have TVs
that's
in every
right.
room and you can go watch what you want. There was a lot of things that I grew up watching, like Dallas and Falcon Crest, and things that I probably wouldn't have been watching at 6, 7, 8 years old if my mom wouldn't have been watching it.
As
I
much
will
as
say
it
to this
changed
day I
me,
won't watch Lifetime because she watched a lot of Lifetime.
Yeah.
as
I
much
can't
as
watch
it
it.
changed me to say
Yeah,
this, I
that's
had an I Shot JR t-shirt.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, we remember that. Yeah.
I remember that.
I had
But we also got to watch the Dukes of Hazzard. We did get to watch that growing up. I remember that. And
Yep,
I don't know if you
remember that.
mentioned it. Knots Landing. That was a big
Yes,
program for
that
our
was
mom. So
Yep.
yeah,
because I think on Friday nights it was like the Duke boys and I think then her story, so to speak.
yeah.
Your
One
Knots
of
Landing, your Dallas.
I remember it just reminded me one of the one thing that Mama watched that really kind of drove me crazy was the Lawrence Welk show. I
Um,
never got into that.
I didn't really
Oh
like that.
Lord.
That was torturous for me to have to. I'd go out and play. Of course, that's what we did most
Yeah,
of the time anyway.
It wasn't just
But
you, it was every kid down here that and the parents all put it on purpose to try to give us some
get
culture.
rid of us.
And we left and they were happy.
hey, that's a good question. Do people in Nevada watch Andy Griffith show? Is it real
I don't
reruns
know,
out there?
but Frank turned it on the other day and it really shocked me. And I was like, wow. I was like, did you just really turn that on? He's like, yeah.
Frank is
We
Southern boy.
Yeah, I'm turning him for sure.
Yeah,
He's definitely grasping the South. He when he was
Well,
active duty, he was in Louisiana, so it's a little bit different in Louisiana, but he was definitely in the South before we ever got together. So he does have a love of the South, even though he's from South Florida.
the
yeah.
fact that he was watching Andy Griffith and he got a point back and it makes up for about the 50 that he lost for being a Hurricanes fan.
Sorry, Frank.
We
He
love
had to
Frank.
know that was coming.
So, Heather, as we wrap up, anything else you'd like to share that maybe we didn't touch on, or we so appreciate you coming on, and I've enjoyed it so much. It's been a lot of laughs. But is there anything else you'd like to share before we let you go? Again, thanks for coming on.
I'll just say I'll be down to do this again sometime. This was fun. I enjoy what you guys are doing, especially somebody that's not able to live in the South anymore. Although hopefully sometime in my future I'll be back there again. Um, but basically just I'm loving the show and just the little common things that maybe we don't think about. Just being Southern. When I live out here for so long. I do miss all of those little Southern things, calling a shopping cart a buggy, and I'll still call it that to this day. And people look at me crazy out here.
Yeah, it's buggy out here.
Whoa. We got to hit this. Are you saying that a buggy
Mhm.
isn't a buggy?
No, it's a shopping cart. I had people look at me crazy. Yeah.
That's
Um,
foolishness.
yeah,
I
it
think
is.
I think we even call them buggy pushers down here, like they push the
Yeah.
buggies back. We
Buggy
didn't say shopping cart pushers. It's
takes
buggy.
too much effort. That takes too
I,
much
I
effort.
will.
Shopping cart. That's 3 whole syllables. 3 of them. We say, okay, buggy. You say it fast enough in Georgia, it's 1 syllable.
I
But
will say that moving from the South, sometimes you're a little well, I'm not going to say everybody, maybe I was a little self conscious about my accent and things like that. But what I'm learning as longer I live here is most people absolutely love it. I'm going to tell you, I work in a call center and I get told probably 5 or 6 times a week how they love my accent. And honestly, I think it might make the people be nicer to me just because I do have that southern twang and just that kindness about me while I'm on the phone
Yeah.
with them. That was ingrained in me from childhood. That southern hospitality, like we talked about in the first part. Yeah, I'm proud. I've now grown to be very proud of my southern heritage and me talking the way I talk. It doesn't make me a hillbilly or a redneck, and if it does, I don't really care. I'm gonna always love the South and love where I came from and be proud of who I am.
You get the Southern Fried Podcast seal of approval for that last statement. I love it. And I think as I've gotten older, I say that a lot. I really don't care. I'm so worried. I'm so not worried about what people think anymore. I think probably we all went through that at some point, and you just are who you are, and what we are is good, and there's nothing wrong with it. We're just different, and these United States are made up of a lot of different kinds of people, and we're very patriotic. We love the military. We love our country, even with the problems it has. It's the greatest place on the face of the earth, and I'm honored to be a part of it. But hey, we're Southland, so we appreciate that very much. And I'm partial, but I think you're awesome, and I love you. And thanks for coming on with us. And we'll get you back on. We'll get Frank on. And
Yeah.
any closing thoughts, Robert, before we let Heather say goodbye?
Do they call it Coke or soda?
Oh, that's a good one.
Probably more soda. And I'm more the Coke person,
Y'all
but
know
yeah,
that?
soda.
Ain't no such thing as sodas. What kind of Coke do you want?
I know,
Yeah.
right? That's Southern way.
It's not pop, right, Robert? It's not pop.
Yeah,
You got
exactly.
3
No.
points.
I will
Say
say
the word.
that. I can't. I will never say pop. I
No.
can't. It goes
No.
against
I
my
wish
Southern.
I wish you could Brady bunch him and reach right up there and pop him right in the back of the head for he can say it wrong. My goodness. Huh. I
Well,
heard you
Heather,
said that in church one time.
well, he's telling a story on me, and
No,
I
you
don't
told me
know. Well, it's true, and I don't know where it came from. So, for those that don't know, I'm at a church up on the mountain, and they call us Flatlanders from the valley anyway. So, I don't know where it was coming from. I was just talking, and all of a sudden, I'm going to say it's from my family that's from the north because I've
Yeah,
heard
we
it. It
do.
got buried in my memory banks. And I said something about pulling over to the store and getting a bottle of pop. And I tried to move on very quickly. And so they stopped me and they said, no, 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 wait a minute. We got to have a conversation about this right now. You just said pop. And I was busted. There was nothing I could do about it. That's what they said. Hey, buddy, it's Coke here in the South, okay? Don't be saying no pop. So I don't know where that came from. I really don't. I'll blame it on the devil. It was the devil. I don't know where it came from, but hey, thanks for coming on, and you're always welcome
Yeah,
back here at the Southern Fried Podcast. Thanks for being a
yeah,
watcher and
Thank
follower
you
of the
very much.
show, and
yeah.
you have a wonderful evening. I know you're probably tired. You work today. I think you got a couple of dogs or a dog there with you,
Yeah,
right?
they're sleeping. They're senior dogs, so all they do is sleep and eat. So
Oh,
they're
yeah, that
asleep
sounds
right
like
now.
we
Yeah.
like that
It's
in the
not
South.
it's not feeding time yet. So when it gets closer to feeding time, then they'll start getting over here around my feet. Like, what are you doing?
One of these days I'll
But
get to
yes,
introduce you to my one-eyed cat.
I would love to come back. I definitely want to come back and talk football when it's closer to college football season.
Yes.
Me and Frank are huge college football fans. We watch not just Georgia and the Hurricanes, but we watch all of mini games. So we would definitely love to come back around that time of the year and talk some football.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
if you get a chance when you come back, you could maybe show us some foods that are kind of native to that area. I don't know if you fix any of them, but you could introduce us to some foods from Nevada and kind of educate us on things
Yeah,
like that there. So that would be
for
great.
sure. It'll give me some homework to do before I'm on next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks a lot, Heather. Blessings
Yeah,
to you. We'll talk to you soon.
yeah.
And when you get
Thanks
into
for having
town,
me.
we've got to go to Cracker Barrel and Waffle
Yes.
House and Crystal
Yes.
together.
Yes,
Last time he was
for
in, I was
sure.
working a lot, but we're going to make sure we hook up and
Yeah.
go do those things. And maybe Robert will be in town and we'll take him too. And
Yes,
if
for sure.
if he can behave, in the Cracker Barrel.
That's no fun.
Last few seconds, I do want to say one last thing. All you folks out there in the Nevada that have followed us and liked our show, we really appreciate you.
Yes.
We really appreciate you taking care of this fine lady, and y'all, we love y'all too, and God bless you.
Yeah, we're just having fun. And hey, the scriptures say, laughter doeth good like a medicine. It's always good to laugh. And I think we got to laugh at ourselves. We can't be too serious about ourselves. Laughter gets us through a lot of things. Goodbye, Heather. Have a great evening, and thanks for being on the Southern Fried Podcast.
Yeah, both of you too. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. Good night to all of our watchers and listeners and everything. And this is part 2 of our conversation with a Southern girl living in the desert.